and we have to actually scrounge to get enough people. And so maybe we have to do something more proactive to make sure that we have at least a decent number of people being on the panel. So and maybe people who don't want to serve on it should not be on the fellowship committee.
Well, let me suggest.
I should not be burdened to do so.
Yeah. Right. Well, let me suggest a possibility. I mean, we had some of the people, for example, here who were on the fellowship committee meeting. And for example, even when it was scheduled at the time it was announced on Sunday, and those people were here in town, they didn't come to that meeting. And then when it was rescheduled, they didn't come because they had other priorities. If they're really going to be on the fellowship committee, we just bluntly ask them, okay, this is really what the fellowship committee entails.
So maybe we have to do a little bit more. And I think Jim pointed out an important aspect of this also. He said it was overlapping with the science steering committee, and he felt, even though Jim Allen has been very dedicated in going to fellowship committee meetings, he felt that he wanted to be on the science steering committee, which overlaps. So we may have to somehow cut out niche time which does not overlap with science steering committee as much. And I think this is a problem.
Well, here's another suggestion. Particularly, it looks as though this Evo system is a heck of a lot better than what we have with Adobe Connect and so on.
Okay.
The question is, does the fellow? I mean, there are advantages to face-to-face discussions, but is it possible for the fellowship committee to do what we do now 3 times a year with the science steering committee, to basically meet online?
I don't know. I still think there's some advantage to face-to-face.
Okay.
There's also, we have done one thing which we normally no funding agency will do. We have let people who have proposals, if they happen to be there, to come and talk about their proposals, which sometimes is helpful. I mean, it's not biasing it, but I think sometimes clarifies it. So I still like to keep it, and maybe we should still keep it to once a year, though.
Yeah.
Okay, the other comment I had was, we're talking about organization from a branch point of view. We probably need the branch coordinators to be more proactive in their own branches. This, I haven't seen in a wide. I mean, Ivan does a great job. I've done as best as I could, and so on. But not every branch coordinator is working as hard. And I think we need a little more local person to push on certain things. And I think maybe, I don't know, is there a way to offer an incentive or some encouragement or something?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, one incentive is that if you are proactive, you'll get more funds back from ICAM, and you'll be able to, show.
But that's obviously what's happened. I mean, you know what? I don't think we have. I mean, the funds are already there. What you and Yvonne and Jim, for example, because Jim's been very proactive in Michigan. I mean, what you've shown is that if you ask for it, they will come. I mean, what we can do is we can highlight your examples. We can highlight your examples of how, by having, for example, kickoff workshops, by having proactive people, that you've actually been able to fully make, you've been actually able to more than realize the investment your branch has made in ICAM. So I think really what we need to do is hold up your success stories. We need to actually have a little piece on the web page that talks about success stories of our branches. And
that would be great for our own university.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, even though Ivan and I have done independently very well, for our universities, in the end, I think it should be more spread out as well.
Of course.
People are not doing it.
Well, of course, but I mean, that's part of the moving parts issue. If somebody takes the energy, they'll get the support from ICAM, and then if everybody tries to do it, obviously, then we completely have to look at the way we spread around the resources. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be. I don't know how we can offer an incentive.
Well,
but the incentive is there. If you go for the funds, there's a good chance you're going to get them. As long as you have high quality proposals.
Maybe encouragement on not gentle nudging.
But I think if we remind people of these kinds of success stories with examples of how Kent and Boulder and Michigan, for example, fared, and there's others. I mean, we can rotate the success stories around. We can have one success story every quarter. Actually, we can have Terry write about it.
I'm just sending her a message to that effect.
Yeah.
The easy way to do it is have 4 items.
One branch focus per newsletter.
Yeah.
And we start with, and in that branch focus, we point out the financial aspects, if you will, without necessarily putting down dollar amounts. They'll know what the dollar amounts are if we just say the kinds of things that have happened.
Yeah,
fellowships, workshops, travel awards. Yeah.
But on the
back again, sorry. On the fellowship committee itself, maybe we need to somehow do a little search with a letter that who are really interested in future fellowship proposals.
Well, I think you already have evidence of who is not, right? You have people on the fellowship committee who basically have done nothing. And I think we have to start from there and ask them, you said you would serve on the fellowship committee. Do you really understand that it would be this amount of work? And are you willing to continue serving? If not, can you please identify a suitable replacement at your institution?
Yeah, I think some suitable letter like that from the directors. Like
Yeah.
that.
But we need help from you and Kai about.
Yeah,
And also, you know, Kai's been doing this now for, what, 4 years?
5 years.
5 years, and she may be getting tired of it, I'm not sure.
I did it this time. It's work, but I'm happy to do it if you need. Kai and I can rotate if you want. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, well, maybe we should check with Kai because I know she's put a lot into it, and we really appreciate it. But I think we should check with her.
But I'm also happy if she wants to keep her chairmanship.
Sure.
But I'll be happy to serve on it.
Yeah, but we'll note that you would be happy to replace Kai.
Yeah, for a limited term. Well, that's a very good idea. And easy to do. So at least there are at least 3 branch success stories.
Well, they can come up with more.
Mine. There's Michigan, Kent State, and Irvine.
Oh, yeah, Irvine and UCLA.
Oh, Los Alamos has done that.
And Boulder, Colorado.
Colorado for sure. Well, maybe Los Alamos too, right?
Well, that's more complicated because they were the founding branch. We can certainly do it, but I think look, I mean, there's plenty of university success stories that we can promulgate. Paris.
I will have to take stock of the Michigan success story soon, since our renewal issue will be coming up.
And we can help you, by the way, because we can provide you with a spreadsheet showing all the details of what Michigan's got. Elisa and Jean-Pierre have been...
We did better in the first 2 or 3 years, and then I got busy, and we didn't kind of push for workshops quite as much in the last year.
Well, you just got one. The metrology workshop is coming in July, I think.
And I think that really helps with administrators. I found that if I carry out things and show them what we got, and I'm happy to share my slides in the format I do, and Dan has been very helpful with providing me with last-minute requests for information like that. But it really helps to put some tables up. They don't want to see many pages. They want to see what you got, how much dollar you got. And I'm happy to send some representative slide if anybody's interested. But that really helps.
Well, you know, Jean-Pierre and Elisa were working on a database of all this information. And I'm not quite sure how far along they are because they've been so busy with so many other things. It's been one that they can work on in their spare time, so to speak. But one thing, of course, is once you get in a database form, in principle, you can upload it so that it can be searchable on the web pages. So searchable by award, just as you find, you can search for awards from the NSF and NIH. Maybe that would be actually really useful because then, the administrators can also, if they get curious, go to the web pages and search for themselves. Because, it would be helpful to the individual people so it isn't always just coming through our office. You can go and find yourself, how are we doing?
That's a very good idea.
So that having a searchable award database that's web-based.
Award and activity database.
Yeah.
I have another question on branches that are now being shown in red. What are we doing? I mean, I know this is financially a difficult thing, but are those just temporary glitches, or are there really serious issues?
There are some where it seems to be a temporary glitch. That is, Ohio State, for example, your neighbors to the south. It seems the money is lined up and they haven't just pushed the button yet for this year.
They claim to have pushed the button and the Davis people haven't.
I'll double check, but I don't think we have a check yet from them. So the other ones, but some of the other ones, especially some of the elite private universities, are really having a hard time.
Like Harvard and Cornell?
Yeah, Princeton we just got, I think Princeton's set now, but Harvard, I just talked to Bob Berman and Cornell electronically, and they've had $100 million budget cuts themselves. Harvard, as you know, at the start of this academic year, the School of Arts and Sciences had a $200 million budget deficit. Princeton had an even larger per capita budget deficit. Princeton's coming through, thanks to Bob Austin pushing. MIT was having some problems, and they actually formally requested a leave of absence from ICAM for 1 year at least. So actually, some of the private institutions are doing worse. Now, Washington University, I think we can bring back in, and I'm going to work on that. But a lot of them, it's just an individual story. At EPFL, it turned out that the initial commitment we had from people in the physical sciences basically fell through, and then it was just poor halal ashwal, and he couldn't do it all by himself. So, you know, there are individual stories that make it not work for the local politics, and then in some cases it's actually financial hardships. And surprisingly, more of the financial hardships are from the big private universities.
Ivy Leagues,
yeah, the Ivy Leagues, right. And yet, as David, we have some very encouraging signs that Penn will join in. And I think Bob Berman indicated that if we get back to him in about a month, there might be some susceptibility from Cornell. So, you know, we'll see. But
it's getting tough with the money because in my case, the first 5 years was great because the administration committed to all the money.
yeah.
Now, the second 5 years when I went, they were not very. The administrators have this big point. Well, we don't get any overhead. So even though you're bringing in all this money, and you know, you went there personally once, and it's always that story. Oh, we're not getting anything out of it. And they somehow don't recognize all the other things as much as we'd like to. So in the end, the next 5 years, the VP Research has this model. With this staff actually have to work harder. He said, I'll only match the amount the department's chairs put in. So right now, biology, physics, chemistry, and Liquid Crystal Institute put in a certain amount of money, and then he just matches that. So if they pay less, he pays less. It's working so far, but it's now on a year-to-year basis, and that makes it a little difficult. But which means that it was great that biology got some award, or at least it's being recommended for something. I can go back to the biology chair and say, here, you got your money. Now give me the money. So it works both ways, but it makes it a little tougher. I mean, it's getting a little tough to get the money. And I don't know in the long run what we plan to do with the branch dues. I mean, we'll have to maintain this model, I guess. Or do we do something else?
Well, yeah, I think it's an important question. At the moment, I guess we're successful enough in our collections that I guess we'll stay with the current model. And remember that you can do the 3-year commitment
Yes.
with a $5,000 savings.
Discount, right?
$5,000 discount, which may be of interest to Michigan as well, Jim.
What's the 3-year model?
The 3-year model is you can either commit year by year, $10,000 a year, but that means you got to go through the exercise every year, basically. Or you can do the 3-year commitment and send $25,000 at once. And then we can keep track of that and don't ask you again for 3 years. The idea being that, roughly speaking, sort of discounting that $25,000 over 3 years is pretty similar to getting $10,000 a year each year. That was invented by a guy from a private university who said, if you do that, we'll be in it tomorrow. And then we're still waiting for a phone call.
I think what I did at Michigan was the first time around we went for a 5-year commitment. And so that's why I just haven't had to worry about it for 5 years.
Right.
But then that's coming up
Right.
pretty soon.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. The first 5 years were great. They did it great.
Any other comments? Anyone want lunch?
Sounds good. Okay, well, thanks again, and especially thanks to staying till the end. And we'll see you all. I guess the plan, I guess we didn't announce this, well, I guess David announced this morning, but the plan is to have the next ICAM conference in, how do I say the? Hangzhou, China, in April of next year. And they've sort of made us an offer we can't refuse. So it sounds like a great place to hold it, and that'll delay some of the activities, but for the fellowship meeting, we may have to do something different then, because we've got to keep the same timeline for the fellowships.
Yes, so April would be a little late.
April's too late. But then we may have to do something, we may have to, you know, either do it online or do a face-to-face meeting just at the fellowship meeting. But there is another reason, we have to also reconstitute our a meeting of our advisory panel, and that needs to happen before then as well. So I don't know. That's another thing we have to figure out.
So this China thing is all, I mean, on this side, is it sort of certain to happen? Or?
I'd say we're pretty much at the 90% level, right, David? For China, David, or I'd say we're pretty much at the 90% level, right?
Yeah, I think we do probably need a physical meeting of the fellow committee in this country.
Right, but what about actually having the meeting in April in Guangzhou? I mean, we're at the 90% level.
I think that's pretty definite. We'll know within a week or so.
Within a week or so, we'll know for sure, but it looks like it's...
But that's 2011.
Sorry?
That's 2011.
Yeah, next year.
Because
Yeah.
David was also talking about Turkey at some point.
Yeah, but I think right now it looks like we've already had one meeting in Europe, Cambridge last year. Let's send it to Asia.
Okay. Sounds good.
But actually, I think we should thank you, David, and Daniel for this presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank my students for coming and helping with the technical aspects here. Thanks Robert and Jesse and Yuval, who was here all day yesterday. All of whom have actually improved the process actually we've got here going. So thanks very much. These guys.